Welcome back to my channel, you baddie boos. Today I am going to be making a tumbler with the 3 colors on the right. This is the Halloween subscription box from Maestra Creations. Wow. Tell me you live on an army base without telling me you live on an army base. One moment, I'll be back. I feel like at this point you guys are used to all of the unpredictable things of my voiceovers, and I don't like to edit them out because you know what? That's just who I am, guys. I live on a military base, and that happens every morning and every day at 5 o'clock and every day at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I don't even remember. Anyhoodly, moving right along. So I started with a prepped tumbler. I already spray painted it in a swirl. If you want to learn how to do that, you can go back to my Tack It Milky Way and I show you in detail how to spray paint. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're already going to have our cup prepped and ready to go. I did a very, very thin coat of epoxy. Thin like me. Meow. Okay, sorry. So I am just drizzling my glitter over my tumbler in the designated color area. Now, as you guys know, I just really like spray painting my tumblers the base color to match the glitter. It just keeps me from having to do 2 coats of glitter. I always try to avoid that if possible because I just want to be able to get full coverage with less coats of epoxy because I'm impatient. And when I start a cup, I get excited and I want to finish it fast. You know what I'm saying? So not fast to where it's going to compromise the quality, of course. But you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just want to like get a cup done. Also, if you hear crickets in the background, I'm sitting on my porch taking in the morning breeze. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to look for like a noise canceling microphone. But for right now, this is just what we're dealing with. Okay, look at this black. It has like little chunks of like purple and green. It has just the witchiest feel. I really love this glitter. Okay. So we're going to set that aside, let it dry, and we're going to seal it with our clear polyacrylic. And while we do that, we're going to move on and start working on our tupper, okay? Now, I got these 2 little witch legs from Amazon. They will be linked in the description. I also got this glue gun from Amazon, also linked in the description. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to use hot glue. I really am a huge fan of using hot glue for my toppers for many reasons. Number one, you can get really good coverage and a really good seal in the topper so that, you know, when you wash it and put water and stuff, water doesn't get into like the nooks and crevices and cause mold or anything like that. Like if you make sure you get that glue in every single little corner, you get a pretty good seal. So that's why I just fell in love with using hot glue. So what I'm doing here is I am trying to figure out where I want my legs to point. And finally, I decided that they looked better pointing outwards. So what I'm doing here is I am just taking my hot glue and applying glue to the area where I want to put the witch's leg. Now, as you can see, I'm being really careful not to get glue in the little area where the little hole for the straw goes. So when I use my tumblers, I only drink with a straw. So I never use the other little slidey thing on the top. I always drink out of straws. So I never care to cover them when I'm doing toppers because, like I said, I only use straws. So I went ahead and I placed the witch's feet, the witch's legs with hot glue. And I let it dry for a moment to make sure that they were really secure and that they were really hanging in there. And then once that glue dried and I knew that the legs were secure, I kind of started going around and filling in with hot glue. Now, as you can see, I am avoiding this area with a little silicone lid for the straw hole opening. Straw hole. That just sounds wrong. Straw hole. Anyway, so I am literally just going around the legs and all of that with hot glue. Now, my goal is to fill this whole area and kind of have it come up above the very top of the lid because I kind of want it to look like witch's potion or witch's brew, like almost like it's about to overflow. And so kind of to make it look like she's dipped head first. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of want to bring my hot glue up as high as I can. And once it's fully dry, I'm going to take some green dispersion colors from CCDIY and a very fine paintbrush. And I'm literally just going to start painting the hot glue. Now, this is something that you want to take your time to do. I looked all over Amazon to see if I could find green hot glue, but I couldn't. I know they sell black hot glue, but I couldn't find green hot glue. So I was like, okay, whatever. It's not a huge deal. It didn't really take me that long to paint it. You just have to be really careful and make sure that you only get paint in the areas that you want tape. Or that you want paint. So just go really slowly and use a fine paintbrush that you can really get into those details. There's just something really fun about doing toppers, you know, like I feel like you don't have to always do a topper, but if you feel like doing something really cute and you just want to give it that extra touch, a topper is the perfect way to go. And I can't tell you for how long I have been dreaming about doing a topper where the witch's legs are sticking up at the very top. Like I was so excited to do something cute like this. So I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys are enjoying this tutorial so far. I get really excited when you guys tell me my instructions are easy to follow because English is my second language and sometimes I don't know what some things are called and words are hard. Sometimes I can't form words to create sentences. You know what I'm saying? Like I just struggle with that sometimes. So I hope that so far I'm making it easy for you to understand. So once our dispersion paint is completely dry on our topper, we are going to take some UV resin. Now you don't have to use UV resin. You can use regular epoxy and just do a very thin coat and let it sit. But I'm impatient and I really wanted to get this topper done because I was so anxious to see what it was going to look like. So I decided to use UV resin, okay? Now, I am going to put glitter over this topper. So it's okay if you don't get the green paint completely perfect and flawless. We're only painting it green so that when we put that green glitter, it's going to pop. It's going to really stand out and look even more green and vibrant. So the key to having your UV resin really cure and dry fast, because a lot of people have told me that their UV resin doesn't cure, it stays sticky. That is happening because you're not letting it cure long enough. Now, of course, the UV light cures the UV resin instantly, but not in 10 seconds. So sometimes you have to hold it there for like 2 to 3 minutes just to really make sure you have that coverage, and like just to make sure it's super duper dry. So what I'm gonna do is I went ahead and dried the first coat, and then I went in with the second coat. And then the second coat, I did not put the UV light over it. I let it stay tacky and wet, and then I went in with my glitter, okay? Now, I'm not worried that the glitter is falling into that hole and getting on top of where my straw is gonna go, because I was very careful not to get any resin in those areas. So the glitter shouldn't stick to that little section. I should be able to brush it off once I'm done curing, and setting this UV resin. So right now I'm just kind of sprinkling the glitter everywhere, making sure it's sticking to every single piece of the topper where I put UV resin. And then once I'm done doing this, I'm just gonna kind of shake it off and just kind of blow off any excess. And then once I do that, I am going to put my UV light over it because, as you guys know, we adhered the glitter with that UV resin, so it's not going to dry until we cure it. Now, once I completely finished curing it, I took a dry brush and I just brushed off any excess glitter that was, hanging around, trying to stay there rent-free, taking advantage, clinging along, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not worried about the little hole in the center just because I made sure not to get any UV resin in there. And so none of that glitter is going to stick. So once I brush off all the excess glitter, I went ahead and started applying very thin coats of UV resin to seal that glitter in. And I just took a fine paintbrush and spread the UV resin everywhere. And I did about 3 coats of UV resin, very thin coats. And this is what it looked like when I was done. I'm very happy with the product. I went ahead and washed it with warm water and soap and used a really fine brush to get inside around the areas where the straw goes. So there you saw me spraying some alcohol on my tumbler after I applied the first coat of resin. That's a really good hack if you want to really get rid of bubbles. You can torch it and you can spray alcohol. Now I'm going to create my own little glitter shapes by using my Cricut machine and by using holographic vinyl. So I purchased this file on Etsy. It's a witch's hat and a witch's broom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them small. Okay. Now, if you want to just pause this part right here and take a screenshot or take a picture with your camera so you can see the exact dimensions that I used for the size of these. And now you can make them smaller or bigger. This is your creation. Customize it to however you want. But like I mentioned, if you want the exact measurements that I used, just pause this part and you can see the little measurements right there on the top and on the side that I used. So, okay guys, so I just kind of placed it in there, sized it, and then started duplicating so that I can print a whole bunch of them. Not print. Why did I say print? You know, I really need to not do voiceovers this early in the morning without my coffee. Okay, so once I have them all ready and set to go, I'm going to go ahead and cut them. Now I am using holographic vinyl, so I put my little dial on my Cricut to custom. Okay, and the reason I did that is because I want to be able to come into Design Space and customize the material that I'm going to be using, which in this case, we're going to make sure that we set it to premium holographic vinyl. And this is how you can sort through all the settings and all the different materials that your machine can cut. Okay, so all of my holographic vinyl, I do premium holographic, and then once you select that, it's going to bring you to this option, and I always click more pressure for my blade, and then I cut them out. Maintenance is going to come around and start cutting the grass for everybody's lawn. So I'm going to have to go inside now because this voiceover is just getting a little too ratchet. You can hear crickets, you can hear lawnmowers going off. Oh my gosh. One moment. BRB. Okay, now we're in a quiet space. Now, once you are done cutting those shapes with your Cricut, if you don't have long hoochie mama nails like me, you could probably peel them off with your sausage fingers. But no, I wanted cute hoochie nails and I can barely do anything with them. I can't even really pick my nose anymore. And I wanted them longer, but I was really scared to slice my bottom open when I wiped. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a dangerous game. So that's why I decided to go with a little bit shorter, but clearly I still don't know how to function with them because I had to use tweezers to peel up my shapes. But anyway, so basically I just put them all over the tumbler and just kind of put one broom, one hat, and just kind of arranged them the way that I thought they looked nice. Now I am going to use Quick Coat from Counterculture. It is linked in my bio. To seal my holographic vinyl. So holographic vinyl can sometimes repel epoxy or can easily lift under epoxy. And so we worked way too hard on this, so we don't want to have any sort of issues, right? So we are just securing this with our Quick Coat. You have to do a very thin coat, and because I'm impatient, I just took my blow dryer and made sure it was fully dry to the touch before I went in with epoxy. So we're actually going to add the first layer of our Milky Way swirls, okay? So we're going to start off by doing a very thin coat of epoxy. Now I believe I did 40 mLs for this. So I'm starting off with a very thin coat of epoxy, and then I put some of the excess epoxy into a little medicine cup because we're going to add dispersion color and glitter to it. So the key to a Milky Way is to not put a very thick coat on your tumbler of epoxy because then your swirls are going to kind of go everywhere. And I like to control my swirls, okay? So I put purple dispersion color and then, no, I'm sorry. I put purple mica and purple glitter to create those purple swirls. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking my popsicle stick and I'm just kind of swirling them in the direction that the glitter swirl's already going. Now, right now, I don't like the way they look. They're kind of messy, but that's okay because right now we just want to get them on the cup. So then I take my fat sausage finger and I kind of guide the swirls in the direction that I want them to go. And as I'm doing this, I'm wiping the excess epoxy off on my paper towel so that I'm not creating this like huge mess. And then I'm just kind of, you know, guiding the swirls in the direction that I want them to go, making them look how I want. And once this is done, I am going to pop my bubbles with a torch, and I'm going to spritz it with 91% alcohol to pop any bubbles that I might have missed. And then we're gonna let it fully dry, and we're gonna come back, add another thin coat of epoxy, and then I'm gonna do my green swirls. The reason I did them separately is because I really didn't want them to mix. And so that's why I did my purple swirls first and then came back and did my green swirls. You don't have to do it this way. You can do both of your swirls at the same time. I just really wanted to do it this way, but it is an extra step. So I repeated the exact same process with green, and then once that was fully dry, I came in and did one final coat of epoxy to seal my tumbler, and that was it. I'm about to show you a video of our final product. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You will find all of the materials in the description. I hope that you loved it, and if you recreate it, please tag me on Instagram because I really love seeing your guys' work. Until next Saturday, besitos!